Hi there guys, Ken here, your thrifty apprentice, and welcome back to the channel's version of a crafty corner. Today is Thursday and we have another ephemera video today. Today we are going to be making what I have so named the double flip sketchbook. These are some really fun little sketchbooks that I came up with that I want to share with you. This is the one that we're going to be making on camera today, live and in color. And after we will come back and we will have a flip through of all of the sketchbooks. But I just want you to see that it has both been decorated, bound with mixed media paper, and you can paint on both sides of the paper, essentially giving you 12 sheets per double flip. Let's get into the tutorial. To start, I will be showing you a few supplies that I'll be using in hopes that it'll help spark some ideas to help you in your creation. We'll need a base. I've chosen file folder. I have 2 equal pieces that I've cut down from a file folder, manila file folder. You can use whatever you want as your base. You can use chipboard, cereal box, leftover food packaging boxes, cardstock. There are so many different things that you could use as the base for this. You'll need a backing paper. I've chosen this from just an ephemera pack that I had. I thought it was really nice, and it went with the theme for the rest of the things that I've picked, which of course I've chosen everything in advance to help make the video a little bit quicker. We'll need an accent paper. And I'm basically showing you guys the formula that I used to go on top of the backing paper. We'll need a piece of specialty paper. Now, for my specialty paper, I've simply chosen a piece of paper that I coffee stained, stamped, used some deco scissors to cut out to make it look like a stamp, ink the edges, and there you have it. So your specialty paper can qualify as anything that you may have hand done, gel printed, maybe a photo that you've taken yourself. So anything of that nature. We'll need a focal image. I've chosen stickers. This is a sticker set that I picked up from my local Dollar Tree. So it is Crafter Square, I believe. And I'm gonna just be using the heart, because I think it is so pretty. I really love it. And this is what they call a puffy sticker. So it does have a 3D effect and feel to it. You need an accent. I've chosen these little pearls. They're just little stick pearls. You just stick them on. I'll add a little glue just to be on the safe side. And lastly, I'm going to be adding a small wording sentiment to it. Now for this, you can write if you have good handwriting. You don't have to add wording. You can type something out on a typewriter, or maybe on your computer and print it. You could use stencils for writing. You could use stamps if you want to stamp a sentiment instead. So there are so many different choices that you can use there as well. So let's get started. First, we'll be attaching the backing paper to the base. Let's talk about glues really quickly. I had a viewer who kind of put a thought in the back of my head when they informed me that, some of the glues that I use may not be available in other countries. And I thought to myself, you know what? They're exactly right. So for this video and for the next few videos doing ephemera as well as journal making, moving forward, I'm going to be showing you guys how to use, or how I use, should I say, PVA glue. PVA is a water-based white glue, normally targeted towards school kids because it is non-toxic, safe, dries clear. Now this is Elmer's, one of the well-known school brands here in the United States, and this happens to be the Extreme Formula school glue for bigger, tougher projects. It's washable, of course, and it's their strongest school glue, but that doesn't matter because you can use whatever form of PVA glue that you may be able to find. And I think it's probably the most common form that's going to be available in the most corners and tucks of the world. So that's what I'm going to be using in order to do this. So this video will kind of be a little step-by-step, simply because I do want to use the PVA glue. Because the writing is on this part of the file folder, this is the part of the file folder that I'm actually going to use for the top of the booklet. I'll reserve this part for the bottom of the booklet, and we're going to leave it blank so it could be used for journaling if that's what a person chooses to do. And we are just going to spread that out. I'll put that on. Make sure we get enough in there to be happy with. And I'm going to get as close to the edge as I can without running off. And now we're going to use one of the most useful tools in crafting, a finger. I'm just going to grab one end of it and just smooth that glue down. We don't want any mountains. And we are going to adhere this down. What I'm going to want to do after I get this smoothed down is I'm going to put this under something and press it until it dries, because I want it completely flat before I move forward. And that's what makes designing with PVA or a water-based glue more time consuming. After you give that time to dry, you want to just trim away the excess backing paper. So we're going to cut this out. You can use a straight ruler and a crafting knife if you choose to. At this point, I'm going to tear away around the edges of my accent paper to fit my backing paper. I always tear, just for a suggestion, pulling towards me. That way, the ruffled edge will end up on top. Now that I've torn my accent paper out, I'm going to do a little inking. You can forego this step if you would like to. I know some people don't like to ink, but I do. I'm an inker. I'm going to be using Distress Oxide. This is the Vintage Photo. I finally got myself a brown ink. And look at me. I've advanced to using a sponge for inking instead of directly from the pad. Before we move on, I want to go ahead and score the top part of my matchbook flip. That should be 1/2 inch of a score. So I've scored 1/2 inch, and I'm just gonna go ahead and fold the flip up. That way I'll know where to decorate. I will adhere the accent paper to the backing paper using our school glue. The suggestion would be to put this under something flat for just a few minutes and allow it to do a little drying. That way you'll have a flatter surface to work on. I need to move on, so we're going to keep going. Next, I'm going to be adding the specialty paper. We're just going to figure out where we're going to put it in relation to our focal image, which for me was the heart sticker. You again can use whatever you choose to. You could use a picture, you could use stickers, you could use a painting, ephemera. I think I want to place it sort of like that. Here we're at the point where we can attach the focal image. Now, I'm going to actually take the focal image off, and I'm going to use even amounts of the PVA glue on the back of this as well before I adhere it down. Oh my goodness, you guys, I almost left out doing the inside cover. So before we go any further, I'm going to show you what I'm using. This is just, you know, the front of a book, one of the blank pages that has like just a title on it. I just tore the title off and stamped one of my dragonfly stamps with a little green ink, a little brown ink, and just a little black ink. And we're going to be using that. So to cover the inside, because it would flip up, you would flip your cover over and you would put your image going top to bottom this way. opposite direction. So we just have to figure out where we want it to be. This is the exact same thing. Elmer's washable school glue stick in glue stick form. Glue sticks are available in most places. PVA glue of some type and some brand is available in most places. So hopefully this guy is giving you guys a better look into other ways you can create other than using like the Fabrifix that you see me using. I add a little bit of this for security around the edges. I just want to be sure. We are just gonna adhere the paper down. We have that adhered down. I think that is so cute. Love that. I love the effect and the look of that. Keep in mind, we've only been using PVA glue to build this. But I have decided that I do want to do some sewing. I didn't sew in the rest of them, but I just think it would add such a cute look to this one. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine really quickly and I'm going to sew around. Actually sew around the edges. Embellishment step. We are just going to attach the embellishments. Now, guys, use whatever you want. You can use rhinestones. I think those would be really nice. You can use glitter stickers. You can use glitter glue. The possibilities are so endless with things like this. They really, really are. Now, I'm going to put a little glue on the back of these just to make sure that they stick. For the very last element, I'm going to be adding a sentiment. Now, you can add anything here from words from book pages, magazines, sentiments that were cut off of wording from pretty much anything that you choose to use. I'm going to be using this real, not perfect, because I think it describes it pretty well. It's real, it's not perfect, but it's really, really real. So I'm going to first pull this off, real, not perfect, and then we're going to do a little inking. We'll rub that through a little glue. Here's our completed cover. How nice. I think it turned out well. Let's bind our little sketchbook. Now here you can use whatever type of papers you want. I'm going to be using mixed media paper. I've bound all of my little sketchbooks with mixed media paper. That way it will accept either wet or dry media. You can use whatever type of papers you choose. You can turn it into a little writing journal, little notebook taking, little note, grocery list, recipe book, whatever you choose to turn your little top flip into. It would be my suggestion to leave at least 1/8 of an inch away from the end of the border when you cut down your sheets. Now for this, you're going to use individual sheets. We will not be creating a signature. So what I have here are 6 individual pieces of mixed media paper. Sandwich your 6 pieces of paper in between your front and back cover. I've tried to choose the simplest binding method I could think of that would be really universal and more than likely available to people pretty much all over the world. So we're going to be binding it with staples. I'm going to use 3 staples and I'm going to try to aim to do this even. I never do. I guess I should really measure it out if I wanted it to be perfect, but I never do that either. I just try to eyeball it and do the very best I can to get them even. And there you have it, your top flip sketchbook. And with this one, I'm going to be able to paint or draw color pencils, watercolor pencils. It will go all the way to the back, which you could use for writing, journaling, taking notes, and then you flip it over and you can go back in the opposite direction, painting on the back sides of the pages, essentially giving you 12 pieces or 12 sheets or 12 sides. So there you have it, guys. That is the little dual flip, double flip. I think I'm gonna call it the dual flip. Dual flip? No, not dual flip. Double flip. Double flip, because when it gets to the back, you just turn it over and you flip it again. Yep, double flip. All right. So for anyone who was just here to see the construction, thank you guys so very much. That is all she wrote to constructing our little double flip sketchbook. If you are going to stay for the flip through, stay tuned, and we are going to take a closer look at all of the double flip sketchbooks I made. We are now going to take a closer look at all of the double flip sketchbooks. Now keep in mind, as I've told you throughout this video, all of mine are bound with mixed media paper. Whatever you chose to bound yours with will depict what type of sketchbook it is. My little miniature sketchbooks are mixed media bound, so I can do everything in them. I love that. You know, color pencils, watercolor paint, squash, anything water soluble, dry media will pretty much work on this. Now these are bound with Master's Touch Fine Art Studio 90-pound mixed media paper, but again, you can bound with whatever you want. So in this one, you remember this is the one that we made in the video. Closer look. I love the stitching. I am such a fan of sewing and journal making. I think it makes things so much more substantial, and it just adds a really elegant detail. I'm really glad we made this one together, guys. So before we came together today, the ones that I made off camera, the very first one I made was this one. I received a Brother scan and cut machine for my birthday, and I was so excited. I did a project where I made a Mother's Day card for my mom, and then I kind of wanted to get into decorating these double flip sketchbooks, so I decided I would use some elements from that scan and cut. Here I used a cut machine, a cut pattern that was programmed in the machine to cut this beautiful flower. But of course, you can do this with a stamp. You can use a die cut. If you have texture paste, you can probably scrape that texture paste through a stencil. So there are many different ways to achieve this. Here we have some hand tea-dyed paper that has been watercolor splattered and then allowed to dry. Just a book page from an old vintage ear, nose, and throat book, if I'm not mistaken. We have a sentiment. That backing paper is Jane Davenport pattern paper. You guys may remember that. That's an offcut of what we used for the cover for the very first journal we ever made, like full time. It was the Jane Davenport pattern paper journal. It has like 3 different videos till we got it complete. If I can remember, I'll link it just in case you're interested in seeing it. But that's where that offcut came from. Again, it's bound with mixed media paper, and on the inside we just have this beautiful stenciled background that has been stamped in distressed ink with a solid stamp. And that's that one. Next we have the rose. Now here, what we've done is taking, for the backing page, we've just used a musical note sheet. Then we used a book page. That book page is from that same book. Then here for our specialty paper, we actually used faux rice paper that I made. I followed a tutorial by Natasha from over at Treasure Books, where I was able to make my own faux rice paper. And inside that paper, I sealed real flakes of dried rose and rose leaves. Then I just took a circle punch and cut that out. So that's what my specialty paper is there. Here, my focal image is a sticker that came from that little flip book that I showed you guys. I may have been last video, a couple of videos back. And then here, the little glitter heart sticker adherent piece is actually from the Dollar Tree. I get a lot of my stickers from the Dollar Tree, and they work really well on the ephemera. We have a little sentiment, have an open heart. And again, it is bound with mixed media paper. And the inside is actually the same as the one we created today. The difference is it has stenciling in the background, as you can see. And it is stamped directly onto the cover versus in the one we made today on video, being stamped on paper and then adhered to the cover. Okay. And that sentiment did say enjoy today. We didn't say that. All right, next we have pattern paper. This is some very old pattern paper. I've had this pattern paper that is, I actually pulled this pattern paper off of another journal that I attempted to make way back when I first started making journals. I bound it with hot press paper, and it was a hot mess. So I have, you know, pulled that journal apart and used its components to create other things. So that's the backing paper there. The accent paper was from an ephemera pack. The specialty paper I chose here was actually just an offcut of a piece of pattern paper I'm using as I'm putting together another junk journal. And I had this little offcut left from a fairy tale pattern paper. I put that down. Here, the focal image is a butterfly. That butterfly is actually a die cut in cake decorating, which you guys see me using a lot. And then for our embellishment, we used just a big rhinestone. And our sentiment says, be brave. On the inside, we have stenciling and a whorl stamp. And it's also bound with mixed media paper, 12 sides. Moving on. Here we have, again, backing paper. Oh my God, so old, 3-4 years. I'm trying to use up so much of this 12 by 12 pattern paper that I just stocked up on when I first started doing all of this, not realizing how long it would take me to actually utilize and get through all of that stuff. So the accent paper here is a piece of astrological ephemera that came in an ephemera pack. Here for the focal image, I kind of did quite a bit. There's kind of two focal images. So the specialty paper is another piece of that faux rice paper. That one was made with stamping on it. And there was a dragonfly. So then I added this bushel of roses, which I thought was really, really cute, from this clear flower packet that I ordered. Oh, amazing. They have some really nice clear stickers in that pack. Here again, playing around with my brother's scan and cut. I cut the word create out of a piece of pattern paper that I just kind of had left over in my leftover box. I'm always trying to use something up out of the scrap box, always. Most of this was created from stuff out of the scrap box. Just because I'm trying to use up all these scraps and throw away as little as I possibly can. We use the sentiment Be Fearless here. And on the inside of this one, we have stenciling. We actually have the 2nd generation stamp for that whorl stamp on the inside of the previous one. And then we used a Paris stamp in black just to bring it into focus. Bound with mixed media paper, 12 sides as well. And lastly, this was the very first one I created using all PVA glue. I wanted to create one ahead of time just to make sure that the one I created on camera would turn out right and would hold well. And as you can see, it really did. And it holds up wonderfully in comparison to the ones that were done using the regular glues I typically use, like Fabrifix and Scotch Create. The only difference is you do have to press the things that you make with PVA and wet water-based glues in order to get them flat. So here, I just used brown paper bag that had been coffee dyed for the backing paper. From the accent paper, it is just a different sheet from the same ephemera pack that this one came from. Now for the focal image here, again, I did quite a bit. I used 2 different flower stickers from the ephemera pack that this accent paper came from. I used a vine leaf die cut that was saved in the pattern section of the Brother Scan and Cut, which again, you can use the regular dies, you can use stamps to pull that effect off. You don't have to limit yourself just because you don't have a Brother Scan and Cut. Please don't ever let that be your excuse for creating. There are so many different ways, even if you have to draw it out and cut it out by hand. If you choose to go that route, just never allow yourself to believe that you can't achieve it. There's always a workaround. And then for the embellishment, I actually used a flower sticker from a sticker pack from the Dollar Tree, and then I just stuck a rhinestone in the middle of that. And as you can see, all of them do have the embellishments of the stones, just to kind of accent everything. Here the accent was the heart, and here the accent are the pearls. So there you have it, guys. Those are the double flip. Yep, I'm gonna call it double flip because it flips one way and then it flips the other, and you can use both sides. Those are the double flip sketchbooks. I hope you guys liked it. Hopefully you picked up on some tips, tricks, techniques, or ideas that you find useful or helpful or that you like. If you did, please do give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like the content that you're seeing. Subscribe so that you can go ahead and support the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know that when all the new content goes up. Share the video. Remember that sharing is caring, and maybe someone else out there wants to see or know this information, guys. Follow us on all the social media sites, and you can check out the link for the Facebook group, Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers. That's going to be located in the video description, along with links to the Etsy shop, as well as my most recommended list of products. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep painting and crafting.